Imagine walking through a desolate forest late at night. The air turns freezing cold. Your ears begin to ring with a sharp piercing static, and then you hear it. Catchy, catchy. It is the sound of teeth clicking together, not from the cold, but from something towering 15 feet above the tree line. You look up, and staring back at you through the fog is a colossal, spectral skeleton, its eye sockets burning with malicious phantom light. You've just encountered the Gashadokuro, and in Japanese folklore, if you hear the ringing in your ears, it's already too late. The Gashadokuro, often translated as the starving skeleton or the rattling bones, is one of the most visually striking and terrifying yokai in Japanese mythology. But it isn't just a giant monster. Its origins are deeply rooted in the tragic history of ancient Japan. A Gashadokuro is not born from a single soul. It is a composite entity, a literal amalgamation of hundreds of people who died from two specific agonizing fates: starvation or the brutal aftermath of a war. In the shadowed pages of history, when famine ravaged the land or relentless war left fields stained red, the tally of the dead became a crushing weight. With no family left to weep, and no survivors to perform the sacred rites, the bodies were abandoned to the elements. In the eyes of Shinto belief, a spirit denied its final rest does not simply fade, it corrupts the very ground beneath it. These souls remain shackled to the earth, twisted by the agony of their passing into something profoundly restless and tortured. In Japanese tradition, a peaceful death is a bridge. Through the prayers of the living, a spirit sheds its mortal name to become a protective ancestor. But for the Muen Botoke, the connectionless dead, there is no such peace. Abandoned, unmourned, and laying forgotten with no proper burial, these spirits do not fade. They corrupt into a cold, hollow hunger. When the earth is saturated with blood of thousands, consumed by famine, or cut down in the fires of war, their suffering does not end. Instead, their suffering and pain manifests into the spiritual realm. It fuses into a singular, agonizing force known as Gyoro. Driven by a burning, ancient resentment called Onen, they believed that they were wronged by the living. These spirits refuse to simply haunt the shadows, they demand to be acknowledged. And so, the earth yields to their collective rage, and they seek out their vengeance on the living in the mortal world. The bones of the neglected rise, interlocking and multiplying, stitching themselves together. Their collective malice fuses together. Their bones gather, interlocking and multiplying until they form a singular, massive, vengeful titan of bones. What makes the Gashadokuro unique among Japanese monsters, or yokai, is that it is not a single ghost that grew large. It is a physical manifestation of collective vengeance. Because Shinto places a massive emphasis on ritual purity, called hare, and views physical decay as highly polluting, kegare, leaving hundreds of bodies to rot in the field was considered a severe spiritual wound to the land itself. Folklore suggests that the individual souls of these unburied soldiers or starving peasants cannot move on. Trapped in the physical world by their shared agony, their spirits literally pull their scattered, rotting bones out of the mud. They fuse the bone fragments together into a singular, colossal entity. Towering over the landscape, The Gashadokuro rises as a grotesque rattling monument of forgotten bones, a living testament to the gruesome price paid when the dead are denied their rest. You would think that a 15-foot skeleton would make a lot of noise, but according to legend, the Gashadokuro is terrifyingly stealthy. It wanders the countryside after midnight, completely silent, fueled by an eternal, unquenchable hunger. A grim reflection of how its composite souls died. It hunts lone travellers. Because it is made of the dead, it possesses a deep, burning resentment for the living. When it detects a traveller, it strikes with blinding speed. Its massive skeletal fingers descend, plucking the unsuspecting soul from the earth. In that final chilling moment, the Titan does not merely kill, it absorbs, draining the very essence of the victim to feed an internal, insatiable hunger. The only warning you ever get is that a sudden, inexplicable ringing in your ears. It is not a physical sound, it is the psychic screaming of hundreds of angry souls alerting you to their presence. If you hear it, your only hope is to run, hide, and pray for the dawn. How do you survive a Gashadokuro? Physically, you can't fight it. Weapons pass right through its spectral bones. However, it is a creature of the night. The moment the first rays of sunlight hit the horizon, the Gashadokuro's energy vanishes, and it collapses back into a pile of harmless ordinary bones. Ancient wards and Shinto charms could also keep it at bay, protecting travellers who hid within the sacred shrines until dawn. Against such a monumental terror, a mortal man is fragile, but not entirely defenceless. Travellers who knew the old ways carried ofuda, strips of paper inscribed with holy text, and relied on the protective resonance of the Shinto shrines. When the rattling of dry bones grew loud in the night, the only hope was to find refuge within the sacred boundaries of a shrine. The Gashadokuro, a creature defined by its inability to find rest, is repelled by the absolute stillness of consecrated ground. Within those walls, the air shifts. The oppressive cold weight of the Titan's hunger cannot cross the threshold of the Torii Gate. These shrines act as anchors of order in the world of a chaotic, lingering malice. For the survivor, the night becomes a test of absolute faith. They must remain hidden, clutching their charms, listening to the Titan pace outside the perimeter until the first light of dawn dissolves the nightmare and sends the creature back into the earth from which it came. In the mid-10th century, a powerful samurai named Tarai no Masakado dared to defy the throne. He declared himself the new emperor, leading a fierce rebellion that shook the very foundations of Japan. But his reign only lasted a moment. Betrayed and defeated in battle, Masakado was executed, his lineage branded as traitors, and his loyal army slaughtered. Their bodies were left to rot under the open sky of the Kanto region, denied a proper burial, denied sacred rites, and denied peace. But from the ashes of this fallen house, 2 children escaped into the shadows. Among them was Masakado's daughter, Princess Satsuki, and her brother, Tara. And she didn't just weep for her father, she plotted. Hiding in the decaying ruins of the Sōma Castle, Satsuki and her brother desperately sought a way to avenge their father's brutal death. But they quickly realized that conventional warfare wouldn't be enough. To overthrow the imperial court, they needed to wage a war on 2 fronts: the mortal world and the supernatural. The siblings divided their forces. Her brother stayed behind at the castle ruins, using his status to gather the surviving, disgruntled samurai who were still fiercely loyal to their father's memory. he took command of the mortal remnants of the army, building the fortress's defenses with cold steel and human desperation. But Satsuki's path was much darker. While her brother prepared for a physical war, she left the castle ruins to seek out the primordial forces of nature. For 21 consecutive nights, under the cover of pitch-black skies, Satsuki travelled to the isolated Kaifune Shrine. This sacred place was home to a primordial dragon, a massive serpentine spirit of scales, claws, cloaked in dark storm clouds, torrential rain, and thunder. It was an entity that represented the violent, untamed power of water, a force capable of wiping out entire villages when angered. Standing before the rushing waters, Princess Satsuki offered dark blessings to the shrine's resident deity, Taka Okami no Kami, the ancient Shinto dragon god of the waters, rains, and valleys. But she didn't come to pray for peace. Through a grueling, forbidden ritual, she intentionally provoked the dragon god's raw, chaotic, and violently destructive side of its spirit. She was playing with fire, standing face to face with a terrifying ancient force of nature, yet impressed by her absolute malice and unrelenting dedication to revenge, the dragon spirit didn't destroy her. Instead, the void answered back, granting her the forbidden knowledge of dark sorcery. But such power demands a heavy toll. As the forbidden magic flooded her veins, the systematic corruption of her humanity began. Her grief and hatred twisted into something physical, manifesting a yasha, a terrifying, multi-armed, horned demonic spirit that materialized from the shadows of her very soul. Satsuki, the grieving daughter, was gone. In her place stood Takiyasha Jaime, the Waterfall Demon Princess. She mastered the occult, studying esoteric frog magic that allowed her to command amphibians and harness the power of spiritual transmutation. She returned to her family's ruined fortress, gathering the surviving, disgruntled soldiers of her father's army and supplementing them with a terrifying legion of supernatural entities. She was ready to finish her father's war. Whispers of this brewing supernatural threat reached the imperial court. They sent their finest weapon, the legendary warrior strategist Oya no Taro Mitsukuni, to investigate the eerie ruins of Sōma Castle. When Mitsukuni arrived, he didn't find an army, he found a beautiful courtesan waiting for him in the mist. Takiyasha tried to seduce and manipulate him, spinning a web of illusions to lower his guard, but Mitsukuni was a master of strategy and magic himself. He saw right through her tricks, rebuking her for clinging to a dead cause. Her illusion shattered, her rage boiled over. Realizing her human soldiers are no match for Mitsukuni, Takiyasha used a dark forbidden magic scroll, and from the rot of 1,000 corpses, she knit together a singular, towering horror, a mountain of bone and spite, towering over the treetops, battling with the hunger of 1,000 unburied souls. The giant skeleton towered over the castle. It looms over Mitsukuni. Despite the sheer terror of the apparition and the swarm of other yokai attacking him, the brave warrior holds his ground. The battle is ferocious, with the princess shape-shifting into horrific demon forms to overwhelm him. The ground trembled as the Gashadokuro ripped through the wooden floors of the Sōma Castle. Its massive skeletal fingers crushed the remaining structures, pinning Mitsukuni in the ruins. Normal steel would shatter against this mountain of bone, and normal men would go mad from the sheer aura of malice radiating from it. But Mitsukuni wasn't a normal man. He didn't flinch. He knew he couldn't fight a monster born of pure hatred with simple physical violence. Dropping to one knee among the falling debris, he drove his legendary sword into the earth. He didn't strike. He began to chant. Using his profound spiritual discipline, Mitsukuni unleashed a blinding, pure, energetic barrier, anchoring his soul against the psychic weight of 1,000 screaming spirits. Seeing her giant horror slowed by his sheer willpower, Takiyasha's rage reached a boiling point. The air grew heavy with the stench of swamp water as she invoked her forbidden frog magic. She lunged into the fray, her human form twisting and shape-shifting into a massive demonic toad, spitting venomous mist while her spectral armies swarmed from the shadows. It was chaos. On one side, a phantom army and a shifting demon princess. On the other, a single warrior holding the line. Mitsukuni waited. He parried her monstrous strikes, dodging the colossal hand of the giant skeleton by a hair's breadth, searching for the anchor of her magic. Then he saw it, clutching tight to her chest. Even in her demonic state was the ancient scroll given to her by the dragon spirit of Kaifune. That was the heart of the storm. With a final, desperate burst of martial speed, Mitsukuni leaped through the venomous haze. His blade flashed into the darkness, a clean arc of light that didn't strike the princess, but sliced perfectly through the scroll in her hand. The effect was instantaneous. As the forbidden parchment split in two, the spell was shattered. The towering Gashadokuro let out a final deafening wail as the thousands of bones knitting it together lost their grip, collapsing into a harmless hill of silent skeletal remains. The shifting shadows vanished, the demonic frogs melted into the mist. Takiyasha crashed to the floor of the ruined courtyard, her dark magic entirely spent, stripped of her monstrous power. As Mitsukuni stood over her, his sword lowered. The madness of the dragon spirit's rage finally cleared from her eyes. Looking out over the true ruins of her ancestral home, she realized her war was over. In her final moments, the terrifying Waterfall Demon Princess was gone, leaving behind only Satsuki, a grieving daughter who had fought the entire world to avenge her father and lost. In Japanese folklore, the wilderness is never truly empty. It is a living canvas shaped by the heavy emotions of those who suffered there. The Gashadokuro is a reminder that unaddressed grief doesn't fade away. If left to rot in the dark, it feeds on itself until it grows large enough to block out the moon. The Gashadokuro is a reminder of a time when the wilderness was dark, unforgiven, and filled with the ghosts of a tragic past. It is a manifestation of collective grief and anger, a monster born because the living forgot to honor the dead. Next time you're out late and the woods go completely silent and you hear ringing in your ears, don't look up, just run. The shadows of the past never truly fade. They simply wait for someone to look. Thank you for venturing into the void with us today. If these visions have stirred your curiosity, please consider supporting our journey by subscribing. We emerge from the darkness with a new tale every single week. Until next time, keep your eyes on the void.